So I've had a few deaths in my family recently, and it's caused me to do a lot of reflecting on what exactly is it that we should be striving to achieve during this short period of time that we have on this world. What is it that we should be trying to accomplish within our lives? And after a lot of thinking about this, I think I figured it out. And after this realization, after this single thought crept into my mind, there is no going back. There is no unseeing the world from this new perspective. Now, there are a couple common tropes out there about what we should be trying to achieve within our lives. You know, some will tell you that you die twice. You die once when your body dies, and you die a second time, the last time somebody utters your name, right? Implying that what is most important is that you create a legacy and people remember you. But after some thinking about this cannot possibly be what we should be trying to achieve. You can go to a cemetery and read the name off a 100-year-old gravestone. You have no sense of what type of life that person lived. You have no idea if they had a positive impact on this world or a negative one. It's just the name. It's just sounds coming out of your mouth with no real meaning behind it. That cannot possibly be what we should be striving to achieve within our lives. Other people will tell you that what's most important is that you procreate and you pass your genes on to the next generation and you help the human species survive and grow. You know, this sounds kind of romantic at first, but after you really start thinking about it, your genes are only making up half of the next generation, and then 1/4 of the generation after that, then 1/8, 1/16, 1/32, 1/64, 1/28. Within just a few generations, 100, 200 years, your genes get diluted to the point of insignificance. 200 years from now, it would practically make no difference whether you lived or not. That cannot possibly be what we should be trying to achieve with our lives. Now, there is something, though. There is something that you can leave behind after you die. And this thing, it is a direct reflection of the quality of life you live, whether you had a positive impact on this world or a negative impact. And unlike your genes, this thing doesn't get diluted over time. It can actually grow and expand and get passed from generation to generation to generation and live on for decades and centuries after you are dead. And what it is our influence on the people within our lives, whether that's a positive influence of love and empathy or a negative influence. Our influence can travel and through time and get passed from generation to generation to generation. It can spread, it can grow. Our influence will survive long after we are dead. It's not hard to imagine a bad father who is a terrible human being and mistreats his children and abuses them and ignores them. Those children go on to be bad fathers to their parents, to their kids, who go on to be bad parents to their kids and their kids and their kids. And pretty soon you can see how the negative influence of one bad person can transcend generations and influence hundreds of people that will never even know that first person's name or their face. But the same can be said about somebody's positive influence, a father that makes time for his children, teaches them love and empathy, and puts energy into being a good parent. His children will then go on to be good parents to their children, will be good parents to their children, good parents to their children. Just like that, that positive influence of this one person can transcend generation after generation after generation, and that influence can live on and spread years after that original person is long dead and gone. Our positive influence on the people within our lives is what we should be striving to achieve during our lifetimes. You know, in 2009, I was deployed to Afghanistan, and I met a senior airman there that we called Mikey. And I had a few conversations with him. I didn't really know him all that well, but I had one conversation with him that really resonated with me. And he's telling me this analogy about how the world is full of sheep and wolves. And the wolves are always there trying to take advantage of the sheep and prey on the weak. But there are some that step up, and that's the sheep herders. And they're there to protect the flock and keep the wolves at bay. And he saw himself as that sheep herder, right? That's why he joined the military. He wanted to protect the flock, protect his fellow people against the wolves. And even at this time, I was maybe 23 at this time, this metaphor really resonated with me and really made me question what I'm doing with my life and if I can do more. Now, about a year later, I saw him in a local newspaper. So October 2010, Michael Burris, he died on his following deployment to Afghanistan the following year. And that really kind of drilled this concept home for me even much more. You know, not only did he kind of believe in this concept of helping other people and trying to prevent the wolves from preying on them, but he died for this concept. But what really strikes me is that how much this has influenced me. You know, I had one single conversation with him that really influenced me, and here I am 13 years later. His influence, from this one conversation, is still inside of me years after his death, and it may be within inside of me the rest of my life. And now I'm talking to you, I am spreading that influence to you, right? This is how our influence survives long after we're gone and can grow and spread. And even now, this metaphor still haunts me. I still feel inadequate, like I'm not doing enough. I could be doing more. And the more I think about this metaphor, you know, the more I realize that there are different species of wolves out there, right? Not just the wolves Mikey was fighting. There's other wolves out there, and they can rear their heads in the form of addiction and depression and bad parents and bad health and just dumb bad luck. And against these other species of wolves, you know, ideas and words are more influential, more powerful than guns. And I can still do my part. I can still be that shepherd. I can still protect the flock, keep the wolves at bay with my ideas and words. You know, I still have an opportunity to do more in my life. You know, the truth is that I use my son as an excuse a lot. I use my son as an excuse of why I'm not doing more. I use him as an excuse of why I'm not where I want to be in life or why I'm not successful in life. And I'm kind of fucking tired of using him as an excuse. And I've made the decision to tell myself a new story. And in this story, you know, my son's not a hindrance. He's not a burden. He's not an impenetrable wall. You know, my son is an inspiration and a motivation and the catalyst to my greatness. And I can think of no greater use of my time on this planet, no greater purpose or mission than spreading my son's positive influence on this world. Not my influence, but my son's positive influence that burns deep inside of me and has impacted every decision that I've made over the last 7 years in my life. That is the influence that I want to spread with the world. You know, my son, he may never learn how to speak. He may never learn how to read or write or have a job or have his own family. Nobody's gonna remember my son's name 100 years from now. But I can still make sure that 100 years from now, this world is a better place because he was born. He was born who he is. I can make sure that his influence through me spreads and has a positive impact on this world. I would ask you to take a moment and reflect on your own lives and your own influence, how you influence the people within your lives. Is it one of positivity and love and empathy and caring? And if it's not, or like me, you simply think that you can do better, I would remind you that if you're watching this video right now, that means that you still have time.